Hello and welcome to episode 1332 of The Sleeper and the Bust. It is Friday, August 16th. I'm your host, Paul Sporer, joined this morning by Justin Mason. Justin, good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm sleepy, but I'm here.
Yeah.
It's Friday, you know, a little TGIF action. Got to do the pod, but then I got to get out and get some errands done. Got to get the car looked at. Tires are sounding a little weird. I think they need to be rotated, maybe even changed. We'll see. So, how you doing? You're still on the IL, aren't you?
Yeah, I while doing my rehab work, I had a setback, and so
Classic Mike Trout situation.
yeah, where I had an injury, and I was playing with my kid. We were, I was feeling better, so we were playing tag, or pretty much me just chasing her. And she really did not want to get tagged, and she took my knee out.
I respect the move.
Yeah, like, it's a baller move, to be quite honest.
Yeah, blast that fool. Don't have to worry about getting tagged, and now you're winning the ball game. So yeah, you have now had a setback. It's full cut, all formats. You just got to cut Justin. You can't be holding him anymore. You just can't.
Yeah, no.
But you might want some of these two-step guys in Justin's place if he's on your fantasy team. It's a big list this week. We had a short one last week, so I'm not terribly surprised to see it lengthen a good bit this week. So let's dive in. We go around the league, starting in Arizona, ending in Washington. And Arizona does have somebody listed that it might be more of like, hey, just making sure that you're starting him pretty consistently. Because I know this is a guy you're a fan of. I am too. I feel pretty good about Brandon Pfaadt pretty much everywhere right now. I know that, 398 ERA, 111 whip for the season. That ERA is probably a little high to just say, okay, he's blindly all formats, don't even talk about it. So that's why I put him on the list. But the way he's been pitching lately, I think there's reason for, quite a bit of confidence. Looking back at his last 11 for Brandon Pfaadt, 3.26 ERA, while keeping the whip in check. 59 Ks in 66 innings, so not a ton of Ks, but 11 his last time out, so he'll show you those spikes. Do you feel pretty good about Brandon Pfaadt in a two-step situation? He goes to Miami and Boston, so one up, one down. Classic two-step sort of week.
Yeah, I think Brandon Pfaadt probably doesn't really deserve to be on this list. I know the surface numbers say he does, and that's why we're talking about him. But, if you look at especially what he's done in the second half, he's got a 4.02 ERA, but he's got a 2.73 FIP and a 3.13 xFIP. Like,
right.
He isn't walking any guys. He's only walked 3 batters in this 31 in the third inning since the break. He's struck out 31. He's only given up 3 home runs, so his home runs per 9 is under 1. Like, he's been a fantastic pitcher. So I think he's pretty much a must start in every format. But I can understand people looking at maybe the surface numbers for the season or for the stretch and going, oh, maybe I shouldn't. You should start Brandon Pfaadt.
And seeing Boston, a little bit scary for Brandon Pfaadt, but I just like so much of what he's doing that I need that Miami start. So if I have to take both to get the Miami start, I'm in. I really like him. 2-star list just simply wouldn't be complete without our next man. He's from Atlanta, folks. You know exactly who I'm going to talk about. As every two-step is the case with Reynaldo Lopez, this is not guaranteed because he is working his way back from injury. So I'm sure there'll be some comically hilarious way that this does not come to fruition. But he threw 61 pitches in his last 71 in his last rehab. Looks like he's ready to go. Slated to be the Tuesday, Sunday guy next week for them. That would be Philly and Washington, both at home for REYLOOO. Do we feel like he's going to get this two-step right off the IL?
No, I don't necessarily. They've been very, very careful with his innings prior to the injury. And so you have to think they're going to continue that after this injury, especially since it's a forearm issue. And because the final start ends on the Sunday, I could just see it getting pushed off, and we're having this conversation next week. And the problem with that is the beginning start is against Philadelphia, which is the better team. And
shit lately, though.
Yeah, I know, but it's still a pretty darn good offense. And we just don't know if he's going to go deep enough in the games to win it. So I'm
starting him.
Oh, are you? I'm probably not.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and start. I'm going to start REYLOOO off the IL here. You know, I agree that like Philly, we respect them. They aren't playing their best of late though. Since July 1st, so you're going on 6 weeks now. They're 26th in WOBA against righties. So you know this is part of their big swoon here, where they've kind of, you know, Atlanta has not been able to take advantage. But if you look at Philly, just kind of what they've been doing, they have not been themselves. 10-14 in July, 6-7 here in August, and it's a lack of offense that I think is hurting them. So it's certainly risky, but he's been so good this year. Obviously, if he was upright and healthy, we probably still would have brought him up just for the meme of it. But if if REYLOOO wasn't coming off the injury, he's an automatic. So
Yeah.
I don't think the injury's been long enough to make me super concerned about starting him here. His last start was on July 28th. It was a shortened one, only 3 innings for Reynaldo Lopez, but I feel pretty confident getting him back in here. I understand those of you that are like nobody off the IL no matter what. Okay, fair enough. But if you are a little bit more flexible on who can pitch coming off the IL, I think you should stick with REYLOOO. He's treated us so well this year. I hope he doesn't ruin it late, though. That would suck. You know, you finally build that confidence in, and then he pulls the rug out from under us in August and September. That would really suck. We got a couple Baltimore guys, and anytime, you know, Baltimore's got guys going here, you can certainly wins chase with them, almost regardless of how you feel about them. But it's Dean Kremer and Zach Eflin. They both get at the Mets and home to Houston, so not easy matchups. That's part of why Eflin's still on here, because I think he's close to kind of like just locked in the lineup. And similar to what we were saying about Pfaadt, I know the surface ERA is not amazing at 3.72, but it comes with a 1.14 WHIP, 9 wins, excuse me, and he's looked great with Baltimore. So I'm pretty confident in him. Like I said, Eflin probably didn't need a full discussion, but maybe 10-teamer since it is the Mets in Houston, and then we'll get to Kremer. But where are you on Eflin since he's been moved over to Baltimore?
I mean, I think Eflin is top 30, top 25 starting pitcher kind of.
Okay, so then that's must start for you then. We don't even have to worry about that on a two-step. So then let's pivot over to Kremer, who's much more of a question mark. 4.48 ERA on the season. Again, trip to the Mets, home to Houston. Not an easy setup. But I think if you're chasing wins, yes, either Kremer or Eflin, absolutely. Kremer going to be the more available guy, but in like 10s and 12s, if I'm purely wins chasing, I would take the shot. I know he's only 5-9, but he's on a good team here. Do you have any confidence in Kremer's skills beyond just the pure win chase?
Not really, and I don't know that I love the pure wins chase either. So, I mean, it is Baltimore, so they give you an opportunity to win, but Kremer himself has really struggled, especially at home. He's got a 4.85 ERA at home, and
which is frustrating given the
park.
help of that wall.
Yeah, you would think that the park itself would be beneficial to him, but he's got a better ERA at home. So I think outside of 15-team leagues, I'm
better ERA on the road. Excuse me. You were saying that his ERA at home is bad, and part of that is because Dean Kremer's allowed 2x as many homers. 10 homers at home in 43 innings, 5 homers on the road in 48 innings. That's kind of weird for Kremer.
Yeah, it has been really weird. He also has a better strikeout rate on the road. So I don't know if it's something about home that's bothering him, or
interesting.
Did he just have a baby or something and he's not
getting any sleep when he's at home? Yeah,
we've seen that happen with guys.
We have,
right? Like they go on the paternity list and then they're just really, really bad at home. For
Josh Hader, first couple weeks off the paternity list. I think it was last year, maybe 2 years ago, where clearly things were not. He was not fully himself, and then you hear him in an interview like, "Yeah, I've been getting no sleep. Got to take care of the baby." So you respect that from the real life aspect of it, but you're like, dang, it is definitely affecting the work.
But I actually dropped Kremer in a few 15s last week. He has a 5.87.
I'm okay with that.
August. Yeah.
I am okay with that. I don't think this is like a must here with Kremer. Again, I do think if you're purely wins chasing, you take a shot on Baltimore guys, even a guy who's struggling, because you're trying to put yourself in the best position to win. I think they're favored against the Mets, and then a coin toss against Houston. Now he does get Fromber as his opponent. Kremer does, and Fromber's dialed in again.
Yeah.
So I'm tepid on it. I won't be super aggro unless you're just pure wins chasing. Got to do a check in here in Boston. Surface numbers tell you obviously you would never consider sitting Tanner Houck, but things have not been going as well lately. 2 quality starts in his last 2, but that was coming off of a 6-start run where he put up a 6.16 ERA and a 173 WHIP. Tanner Houck goes to Houston and hosts Arizona, 2 of the hottest clubs in baseball right now. 15s, I don't think you have a choice. 12s, you probably don't. More of a 10-team question, but is there any league type where you're sitting Tanner Houck right now? Or have you regained confidence after these back-to-back quality starts against Houston and Texas?
I haven't regained complete confidence on Tanner Houck, just because he has more walks than strikeouts over these last 2 starts, which is a little bit concerning.
Less than ideal, yes.
Yeah. So
wait, real quick. Is that a ton of strikeouts? Or is that a ton of walks or just no strikeouts?
Both. Five walks and 4 strikeouts in 12 innings.
Okay, so it's the 4 strikeouts there that's like really horrendous. Okay, that's Tanner Houck. So even though he's getting good results against Texas and Houston, maybe the skills aren't all the way back, is what you're saying.
Yeah. I'm a little worried. And, anytime you got a guy like Houck who pitched so well and all of a sudden, like, once they kind of cross that inning threshold that they've never really crossed before, like they start to like fade, like you go, oh, okay, he's just not, he doesn't have the stamina to go 160 innings in a season yet. Not to say you won't next year and that I'll be out on him, but I think for this year, I think I'm going to be a little bit more, I don't think I'm dropping him anywhere, but I'm going to be just kind of picking and choosing my battles a little bit more with Houck.
And I think that's okay. I can't put this kind of talent on the waiver wire either. And we talk about that situation where it's like, oh, if you don't start him in a 2-step, you got to cut him. If you're in a 10-teamer and you are not starting Houck because it's at Houston and home to Arizona, I don't think you have to cut him. In fact, I would advise against it, even if you're not using him, because the talent is too good. I do like that he at least went 6 in both those games. I mean, that's how he got a quality start. But your point about the 5 walks to 4 strikeouts is really bad for Houck. So this is very much a coin flip. And I'm actually going to amend what I was saying about like 15s and 12s where you're like obligated. Maybe not.
No, I don't think you are.
I don't know that you have to.
It really depends on what your other options are. We're talking about a guy who, I mean, he's already 40 innings more. He's got 146 innings. So it's already 40 innings more than he's ever thrown at the major league level. Like, he's tiring. And like, I don't have a problem with people saying, like, listen, he's going to be kind of a spot starter for me or a team streamer for me, or even saying I'm going to drop him and move on. Now, I wouldn't drop him. I
still think you can drop him. I still think you can drop Houck. The talent, again, if we...
In a 10, I think you can.
But it's back-to-back quality starts still. Even with the 5 walks, 4 Ks, you still have to acknowledge that, like, he stabilized a little bit these last 2. Boy, that would be tough. I mean... 10s are going to have deep waiver wires, right? So you're going to be picking up somebody pretty good there.
I'm under the belief that anybody that you consider a team streamer is also technically droppable.
Okay.
So
I would not cut Houck anywhere, but
I'm
also not starting him everywhere.
But I'm also saying, like, you don't have, if you're playing aggressive, like, you don't have to necessarily hold him.
And that's a fair point too here down the stretch, about 6-7 weeks left. A lot of things that you wouldn't do in May are now on the table.
Absolutely.
Even sitting somebody like Houck is something that you weren't considering earlier. Now it's very much on the table. So maybe cutting him does have some viability if there's the right player to pick up.
Yeah, it's really team context. Like, don't just go like, whoa, Justin told me to drop him. Like, make sure you're making, the right decisions. But like, and you can always reach out to us, via Twitter or,
run the names by us. It's got to be someone pretty spicy.
Yeah.
That you'd be picking up.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think it'd be this next guy, Carson Spiers for Cincinnati. By the way, Hunter Green also has one, but we don't mention the studs, and he is a full-on stud. Carson Spiers goes to Toronto and Pittsburgh. Neither terribly threatening. We used to be a little bit nervous about trips to Toronto. They're just not playing at a level where you're going to be super scared of that. But what do you think of Carson Spiers, rookie for Cincinnati here, who's had some intrigue throughout the year, kind of been up and down? Does he get any attention from you in a 2-step, Carson Spiers?
Maybe in a 15 team, I might consider it. considering that Spiers has this kind of nice matchup, and neither of them are in Great American Ballpark. So
right, that's also huge.
Yeah, you're getting good spots, but he has not been fantastic necessarily as of late. He only went 2 2/3 last game. The one before that, he got just absolutely murdered in Milwaukee, which is understandable. Milwaukee is a good offense, so
they're unbelievable, dude.
Like as much as Toronto isn't a team you're running away from, like they can put one on you too. So I think this is a debatable 2-step and a 15-teamer, depending on what your other options are. But in a 10 and 12, I don't think I'm risking it. The upside with him isn't great enough where I'm going, oh, this is one I want to kind of
right. Spiers just simply doesn't bring enough to the table, as you're saying, to where you want to really take that chance. This is more of like a desperate situation. You mentioned 15 teamers. We've talked all year ad nauseum about how the wire is barren. Although recently, as much as we were griping about that through July, the last few weeks have had some flourishes, including the random closer flourishes the last couple of weeks too. That's been particularly interesting. But yeah, I think Spiers is like a 15-team streamer, and you're probably in a little bit of a desperate situation if you're going for him.
Yeah.
What about, here's a throwback.
I know.
Boyd is back in the mix. Boyd boys stand up. Now, you might want to be sitting down on the first one, though, because it's a trip to New York to face the Yankees, and then a home bout against the Rangers, which that one we're just not scared of. I'm sorry. They keep living in the low 20s for their offensive rank. And I try to give respect to Texas. I'm like, they can clip you at any moment. Like you said about Toronto, it's like, they still have some superstar talent. They're better than Toronto, but not that much. Do you want the Texas start enough that you would take on the Yankees one? Matthew Boyd is back pitching for Cleveland. Where do you stand?
Pitched well on his first start back, and he also pitched really well in his minor league rehab assignments, where he threw 21 2/3 innings with a .83 ERA and 27 strikeouts. So
and what did he have 0 of?
0 homers, but
Matthew
only
Boyd had 0 homers allowed
and 2 walks.
I love both of those factors.
I know he's 33 and it's been a while since he's been good, but he also he may have just taken too much time coming back, or taken more time coming back from the injury than other people. So I think I would definitely pick him up. Especially in 15-team leagues and maybe some 12s.
You're saying even if you didn't run this week, you'd still have some interest in Boyd, which again is kind of rare to pick up a guy for a 2-step to not start him. But it's a trip to the Yankees, and they scare the piss out of me, dude.
His start next week's a home versus Pittsburgh, so I'm okay picking him up this week just for that one start next.
You mean
week.
The following week?
Yes. Sorry.
But yes, you'll get Pittsburgh after that. And if you're not in a weekly and you can get the Texas start on the weekend from Matthew Boyd without the Yankees start, and then Pittsburgh after that, we're even more in on that situation. So we want to be clear on that. It's just that if you have to take the Yankees start, I got to be more in the Hail Mary desperate situation to start him for this week. But I am also picking up Matthew Boyd in 15s, and I'm considering him in 12s. Just because if he can catch fire, he could be something down the stretch. He's a good pitcher when he's on. He has to keep the ball in the park, though. We need to keep seeing that from Matthew Boyd. I'm going to ask just because he's on the list, but this is hilarious. Even though neither's in Colorado, is there any world where you're going to get Gomber at Washington at the Yankees? I know. If it wasn't at the Yankees, what if it was at, I don't even want to say an easy team. Let's just say a medium team. What if it was at Detroit? If it was at Washington, at Detroit, would you try to get Gomber?
No, because he's been worse on the road this year.
Isn't that crazy?
5.16 ERA on the road. So no, don't.
Okay, we don't have to spend time on him then. Yeah. It's too big of a list.
Unless you are in a position in a dynasty league in which you need to
the Justin Mason position, right?
Yeah, the Justin Mason position, which is you're trying to make sure you hit the innings limit so you don't get any sort of penalty.
Anti-streaming,
but you need some bad starts, so that way,
right? You need the volume. You can't just sit there with IL guys in your list, you have to get some volume. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's where you're starting Gomber. This one is more interesting. Even though he's on a dog shit team, Jonathan Cannon from the White Sox has been throwing some decent starts, and he gets both of our boys at the Giants, home to Detroit. Now, in fairness to both of our ball clubs, both been a little frisky lately, doing some things that aren't completely out of pocket offensively. Still, neither team you're running from. If you like Cannon, maybe you can find something where you at. If you're wins chasing, it's an obvious no because they don't win. But if you're just like ratio chasing, is there anything there for Jonathan Cannon in a deeper league?
Yeah, I mean the Giants have been better, and Detroit have been better as of late, but it's not really their offense that's been much better. Over the last 30 days, the Tigers are 29th in OPS and the Giants are 21st. So like
it's just our close and late
just,
hitting then because we keep winning walk-offs and shit.
Well, I think it's our pitching is keeping us in ball games, and then
right,
and then
but both teams,
and the offense comes through late. So I think that I'm not scared of these teams at all. And Cannon has pitched, fairly well over the course of the last few weeks. I know the last outing was kind of bad, but it was against the Yankees, and he was blown to hell. So
yeah, and we were never starting him there, so you can completely ignore that one because you never considered Cannon against the Yankees. And then the 5 starts before that were pretty decent. Actually, 6 outings, 5 starts. There was a relief outing there of 6 innings, and it's a 3.16 ERA in 37 innings. Now it's only 19 Ks. So Cannon, you really are ratio chasing here, which is always dangerous. But I don't hate him in a 15 against Tigers and Giants.
Yeah, no, I think he's a good streamer for a deeper league.
I don't have as much confidence in one of his potential opponents here, Tigers pitcher Bryan Sammons. Now, the main reason is because I don't know how stretched out he is yet. I think they do want to work him up. Okay, he got 5 2/3 last time out. So he was up to 74 pitches there. So maybe he gets the long enough follows because he's a follower. Bryan Sammons is a follower. He'll get an opener. It's not listed on RotoWire right now, but the way they've been using him is with an opener. So I hope that they do that again. He gets the Chicago 2-step at Cubs, at White Sox. Tigers are spending a week in Chicago. Ooh, that'd be fun. Do you like Bryan Sammons in a bulk role as a follower?
I mean, I think it's a lot of risk for a guy who doesn't give a lot of upside. It is a good set of matchups, but that's really all it is. I mean, we're talking about a guy who's got almost 2 homer per 9, been called up to the majors, and he's struggled with command. He's a 29-year-old kind of minor league journeyman. So I don't think that this is like a guy that you really should be pinning any hopes or dreams on.
Agreed.
So I'm probably just staying away from it.
Tigers rotation is broken right now, so that's why they're turning to Sammons to follow Brant Herter, Hader Montero. It's brutal. I will say, Kenta Maeda really showed how terrible Seattle is because they made him look awesome yesterday. And he gets at White Sox, home to Boston the following week. That Boston start scares me, but if he does well against the Cubs, Kenta Maeda, I might be in for that 2-step, but that's a long way out. We don't have to worry about that right now. This is more of like a check-in on where you're at with his changes because I don't think anybody's sitting Yusei Kikuchi, but have you been following what Houston's been doing with him?
I haven't really.
So they really in these 3 starts, he's been excellent. 2.70 ERA, 0.96 WHIP. They really altered his arsenal in terms of the usage. They tell him, get rid of your dog shit curveball. If we see you throw that, we're sending you to the moon. And he has obliged. He has really shaved down his arsenal and been excellent for them. His strikeout rate is up 10 points to 36%. Swinging strike rate's up 3 points along with it to 15%. Walk rate's up 3 points as well to 9%. But I can live with that when I'm getting a 36% K rate. So again, I think you're starting him everywhere just because he's been so good for Houston. It is Boston and at Baltimore. So maybe you feel differently about Kikuchi, but I think he's an all formats guy right now, and I just wanted to see if you're bought in on some of these changes.
Yeah, I mean the results say that he should, and the underlying results back it up. Like I said, 15% swing strike rate, getting swings and misses outside of the zone. I mean, I'm here for this. Anytime you go up against Baltimore, it's scary, but at least it's in Baltimore, so that is a bit helpful.
Boston's scary too, by the way.
Yeah, that's true.
They've been tearing the cover off the ball. But again, Kikuchi is a talented pitcher, and Houston really seems to have unlocked something. Just to underscore my point about pitching that curveball, or ditching that curveball rather. 23% with Toronto, 5% with Houston. And I wouldn't even be surprised if some of those were like misclassified sliders. He's like, no, I swear it wasn't a curve, it was a slider.
I wouldn't like totally be super comfortable in like a 10-team league, because Baltimore is like the third best pitcher, the third best, or Boston's the third best hitting team in OPS over the last 30 days, and Baltimore's the fifth best. So like you're going up against two top 5 offenses right here. So I could understand skipping it in 10, but I think at 12 and a 15, you're definitely starting him. And at 10, he's on the table.
Yeah, I think so too. Kikuchi available everywhere. I mean, viable to start everywhere. Not available probably anywhere. But if he is, I mean, pick him up. Check your wire. You never know. All right, next up, the Angels got a pair of guys going. And so then we shift back off the win chasing, just because you can't really expect much with them. Although I will say Tyler Anderson does have 9 wins. He's 9-11. But it's Tyler Anderson and Carson Fulmer both going to KC and Toronto. So that's kind of a 1 up, 1 down. Not the way you would have normally expected it. Normally we'd be like, well, the Toronto one's the tough one, the KC. But no, going to KC is the one that's scary. Going to Toronto is the one that's a little bit easier. Do you like either of these Angels here? Carson Fulmer, Tyler Anderson?
I mean, Tyler Anderson has like just been great all year.
He maybe doesn't belong on this. He might be back to auto start. The only reason I still put him was because he got murked last time out. I just wasn't sure if maybe that gave you any pause. He had 7 runs allowed against Toronto with 2 homers, 4 walks. Could just be standard bad start, but I just figured I'd bring him up in case you had any trepidation after that Tyler Anderson bomb.
Yeah, I mean, you never want to see that, but like, I think
he's been so great.
He's so good this season that like. Now I will say that, you know, like he has been a little bit more shaky at times, but even when he's like outside of this start, like even when he's been shaky, like it hasn't been that bad. So like I think this is a really good barometer of like whether or not you're going to be able to use him rest of the way. If he gets bombed out again, or he has, you know, like one mediocre start and gets bombed out, like he becomes droppable. You kind of thank him for his service.
Well, wait. He has Seattle the following week, Tyler.
Oh, never mind. Yeah.
So even if one of these starts doesn't quite go the way you want, I think I hold him through the Seattle start. But yeah, like, I know that most recent Toronto start was really bad, and he's facing them again, so that might give you some trepidation. I'm actually not too worried. I'm starting Tyler Anderson in 12s and 15s, and he's on the table in 10s. He's not a must because there's no win potential, and you're basically betting on ratios. But he's been really, really good this year.
He also gets Texas to start after that. So
and we just got done covering how we just can't really be scared of them anymore. They're just not pitching that well. What about Carson Fulmer? Because he was doing some decent things before this last outing. Toronto also got to him. But before that, he had 25 innings with a 3.60 ERA and a 1.00 whip. So, you know, 25 innings, that's 5 starts. He was doing a little something there before the latest outing where he got cooked. Is there any deep league intrigue for you for Carson Fulmer at KC at Toronto?
Yeah, like I think there's a little bit of deep league interest in Carson Fulmer. I mean, this is a former top prospect that he's now 30 and he's figured his way back to the majors. And the problem is like he doesn't always go deep enough into games to win. Right. So it is a little bit of a risk. And that KC start is I think this is more of a desperation 15.
This is Hail Mary in 15. Yeah. This is Carson Fulmer is like, I'm throwing everything at the wall. And even then, I still think it comes in a little lighter. Like, I'll take the Boyd Yankees
I was about to say, like, this is a really long list today because we have a lot of 2-start guys that might be available on wires. So
Cannon or Fulmer?
Oh, Cannon. I don't think
Cannon for me too. This next guy,
I think you go Spiers, Boyd, and Cannon over Fulmer.
Agreed. So we're not really getting there outside of the few Hail Marys. This next guy had graduated for a while, and that's, you know, this kind of a living, breathing list here where we, you know, throw guys on and off. I think we need to check back in on our boy Gavin Stone here. And I was a huge fan of his coming into the year. That's why I don't want to take victory laps before the season's over, because I would, I wouldn't look as good right now. But when he was toting that crazy low ERA, I'm like, oh yeah, this is great. But now he's up to a 3.63 ERA and a 1.28 WHIP. Not only that, but Gavin Stone just doesn't get the Ks. 7 Ks per 9, that translates to a 19% rate. In today's game, that's downright putrid. Like, that's just bad. And it's the same thing that he did last year, where he gets the swinging strikes. So you look at, and it's not quite as high as last year. It was 14%. This year it's 11. But even an 11% would usually foster more Ks, but he doesn't put guys away with that changeup. He gets like early count swinging strikes. It's kind of interesting with Gavin Stone. But the direct opposite of Carson Fulmer, where it's like if you're wins chasing, you could take like 6 innings, 5 runs, as long as it comes with a win. But where do you stand with Gavin Stone? He gets Seattle and Tampa Bay, both at home. 15's automatic, 12's pretty close to. Where do you stand in 10s with Gavin Stone? And 12's, I guess, because it's not automatic in 12's.
The hard part is, since the beginning of July, he has only gone deep enough in games to win 3 times out of his 7 starts.
And you know what it is he's getting hit around. He's not having like some influx of walks or anything for Gavin Stone, because usually that's what you look at. Okay, are they building up his pitch count with a bunch of walks? No, it's the hits. 7, 9, 6, 9, 8, 6, 3 last time out at Milwaukee. Surprisingly excellent start at Milwaukee, which I was scared of for Gavin Stone. So hat tip for that. But the confidence is a little dented right now. That said, I think I'm getting there in 15s, 12s, and putting him on the table in 10s just because of the win upside. Gavin Stone has 10 wins this year with the Dodgers.
Yeah, I mean, I think you gotta, especially if you're win seeking right now, like you gotta take the risk. Just because the Dodgers are finally getting back to full strength offensively.
Right. Betts is back.
You know, and these are 2 really good matchups. I think if these were 2 like mediocre or bad matchups, I would be like, I'm staying away from it.
Right.
But you get in Seattle and Tampa Bay at home. It's
Arizona the following week, so it might be a start and cut. You might cut him after in 10s for Gavin Stone. You might cut him after the following week, because Arizona right now, I don't want anybody against them, especially lefties, but I don't want anybody against them.
Yeah.
Right now. You know who's back on my radar a little bit? And credit to our boy Nick Pollock for mentioning him. And I was like, oh, you're interested? And so I went and checked. I was like, okay, things have been going well. And then he had another dud start, because he always does this. He'll get you comfortable, and then he'll slam the shit out of you. And I'm talking about Edward Cabrera. And this is so classic Edward Cabrera, because he had 5 starts with a 2 flat ERA. That's wonderful, right? 27 innings of work. You love that. And then a 6-run bomb at Philly. And what does that do? That moves the ERA up to 3.48, which is still palatable, but a run and a half based on 1 start. And that's the Edward Cabrera experience, is that one of his bad starts usually cancels out 2, 3, 4 good ones, depending how bad it is. His previous bad start before that, 7 earned in 3 1/3. So it's very risky. The team I just mentioned I'm terrified of is his first start, Arizona. But then he gets the Cubs, and they're both at home. Are you there at all in Edward Cabrera? And if so, what formats and how desperate?
I mean, even in this good stretch, he's still walking everybody.
Exactly. That is absolutely worth pointing out. He has a billion walks still.
He's got 20 walks in the 31 innings since the break.
It's fucking horrendous. Sorry.
Like, it's really, really bad. For those who like walk per 9, that's 5.8 walk per 9. Like, it's atrocious. Edward Cabrera, you will never see me roster him. Like, it's just not gonna happen. You got Arizona, a team that's been really, really hot, like on deck. Like, no, I'm not doing this. This is not even a 15 team. I'll take like almost all the guys we've talked about, at least like the Spiers, the Boyds, the Cannons above him. Like, I won't.
Me too. He's just been someone who's scared me. I liked him as a prospect coming up, Edward Cabrera, like everyone did, because nasty stuff. Looks like he could be a dude, but has never taken a step forward on his control, like at all. And he's not old. I think he's 26. So it's like there's still a world where he figures it out, but
They should just make him an elite reliever. Like, it
Right.
just needs to be an elite
Right.
reliever. Like, it's
when you now the one thing that works in his favor is it is only 257 innings spread out over 4 seasons. So you can say like it is a small sample and they are still trying to figure it out. But there is not a glimmer of hope in the control for.
There's a reason why it's only that many
exactly
over that period of time is because one, his control problems gets him sent down to the minor leagues, and two, he gets injured. He gets hurt a lot. So like, I mean, could he obviously like turn things around? Yeah, absolutely. He's 26 years old. The arm is super, super live.
But is there any reason to
like
believe that outside
the probability of it is not great.
Right. No, I'm 100% with you there, and so as such, I'm not in either. The Arizona start was enough to scare me off.
Yeah.
Our old friend, he's back. And I almost said, I put these out of order because he's on Cincinnati. No, he's not, Paul. He's on Milwaukee. I'm talking about Frankie Montas, who surface level has been better with Milwaukee. And by surface level, I mean the very flimsiest of surface, the ERA. It's down from 501 to 386. But everything that goes with it is worse. The whip has gone up from 144 to 164. The walks are higher. The hits are higher. The home runs are just as bad. The strikeouts are better. Credit where it's due. But he's still very scary. Are you getting to Frankie Montas anywhere with at St. Louis and at Oakland?
I think at a 15 team, I might. I mean,
win potential.
He's win potential against Oakland, especially. St. Louis isn't like a team you're necessarily running away from, I don't think.
Right.
So, I mean, they're 21st in OPS.
Can I say this?
30 days? Yeah.
I'm more afraid of Oakland between these two starts.
That's probably
because they're hitting bombs.
Fair. Yeah, Oakland's 8th in OPS over the last
That's what I'm saying. So between these two, I'm actually a little bit more afraid of them than I am of the Cardinals, especially in Busch there. So I feel a little bit better about Montas going into St. Louis, hopefully setting up the week right. Now, he does go to Oakland, too, his old stomping grounds, and that should help with the homers. But they're clubbing the ball right now, so be careful. I think it's on the table in 15s, but I do think you want to be – you're probably in a bit of desperate mode. I think you should be to take him.
I would take him over, like, the Gombers and the Edward Cabreras, but he's not passing like the Spiers or the Boyds for me.
Yep, I fully agree on that with regards to Frankie Montas. Always rooting for him. Doesn't mean I'm always rostering him. Zebulon, our boy, is back. And I'm playing OOTP, and they got these things called perfect drafts where you basically do like a little fantasy draft there from the card pool. And this card comes up that I've looked at 100 times this year, but never placed it until we learned of our boy Zebby. This guy, Zeb Terry. And I was like, could it be that Zeb Terry is named Zebulon? I immediately ran to his B-rep, and wouldn't you know it, Zeb Terry is the first Zebulon in baseball, and now our boy Zebby Matthews is the second. We spoke about him the other day, just ahead of his MLB debut, which went splendidly. 5 innings of 2-run ball on 5 hits, no walks, and 5 Ks. Was excellent in the minors. I'm in. I'm absolutely in. I haven't even told you the matchups yet, but they are at San Diego and home to St. Louis. I'm taking my shot on Zebby. I'm in on 15s. I'm in on 12s. And I might even Hail Mary it in 10s, to be honest.
We have a little bit of an update. We actually updated his name on Fangraphs to Zebby.
Got that Daniel garbage out of here.
I was like, where's Daniel Matthews? So I was like, oh no, we actually have him listed as Zebby. So we just talked about him. St. Louis isn't like a team that's on fire right now. Right. So I don't mind it in even San Diego. I don't believe
I respect them.
San Diego's 4th in OPS.
No, they're good. But Zebby's on Minnesota, so he has good team support. Yeah. He's got nasty stuff. Like I don't know.
It's all about command for Zebby. Like he doesn't walk guys. So the control is fine, but it's about controlling things within the zone.
Right.
Or commanding things within the zone. For him, I think I would take this two-step over a lot of guys.
Yeah. Oh, it would rank pretty decently here on this list. So,
Yeah.
I'm going to amend what I said about 10 teamers. I don't even know if it's Hail Mary mode. I think it might just be I want to start Zebby Matthews. Now, he is still a rookie. It'll be his second and third starts. So I'm not saying there's zero risk here, but I'm in. I'm in on Zebulon. Let's ride. New York, the Mets are throwing a pair. They've got David Peterson and Jose Quintana, a couple lefties, and they're going to host Baltimore and then go to San Diego. So not easy matchups. Do you like either lefty, Peterson or Quintana? And if so, what formats?
Peterson's been really, really good lately.
Right. And Quintana was pretty good before that.
So
a couple bad ones recently, but before that he had a period of pretty good work. The unfortunate part for Quintana is that it was Oakland and Seattle that kind of upset his good run there. When the schedule gave him a chance to stay hot, he kind of pissed it away.
I mean the Baltimore one scares me.
Always.
San Diego, while they've been good, they've been really good offensively as of late. For the season, they've been really bad against lefties. They're like 20th in OPS against left-handed pitchers.
I didn't realize that for the season there with San Diego.
So, like, I think for Peterson, especially, I'm definitely starting him in 15s, and I'm considering it in 12s. Quintana, I'm open to starting in 15s. I'm probably not considering it in 12s.
I think that matches where I'm at here with Quintana and Peterson. A bit higher on Peterson, pitching better of late. I think just the more talented pitcher. His walks are scary though, right? That's what can always send Peterson off the edge, is when he's walking too many. You throw in a couple mistimed hits, and then all of a sudden you get the multi-run outing. But both have some upside. I think it is a little bit of the deeper league situation only for Quintana, whereas I could maybe dip into some 12-team usage for Peterson. Oakland is starting a pair, and as we've been mentioning a few times throughout here, their offense is not playing so bad lately to where you have no support. It is still Oakland, and so your win potential isn't exactly high, but JP Sears has 10 wins this year. Mitch Spence has 7. I don't know did the team even have 10 wins last year? I don't remember.
Doesn't feel like it.
I can't say for sure, but I don't think any starter had 10 wins, and I'm not even joking about that. The highest win. Do you want to guess the highest win total? It was JP Sears, by the way, who has the highest wins right now. Do you want to guess how many it was last year?
I believe he had 8 wins last year.
He had 5 wins, Justin.
Oh my God, he
has doubled it. But anyway, he's not one of our guys here, so I keep bringing up JP Sears. He's not even one of our guys. It's Joe Boyle and Joey Estes hosting Tampa Bay and Milwaukee. So the two-step at home for a couple of Oakland guys. Let's start with Estes. Because I think he's the better of the two.
Yeah.
Do you like Joey Estes anywhere?
Yeah, in 15-team leagues, I think I am okay starting him. I don't love the Milwaukee start, but the Tampa Bay start doesn't scare me. Like I said, the offense has actually been really, really good as of late. So I think he'll get run support, and he got 3 straight quality, or no, sorry, he didn't go deep enough for quality starts, but he's got 3 straight starts in which he's only allowed 2 runs in the first 2. One was against the Dodgers, and then 3 in the last one. So
it's the team that he didn't throw the quality start was the White Sox. They ran him out after 5, but it was only 2 runs.
It's not high upside because you're talking about a guy who does not get a lot of strikeouts, but
right.
It's so weird. If you're looking for wins, you might get a win here against Tampa Bay. It's a 15-team only play, but
absolutely, Joey Estes, 15 teams only, and again, you got to be a little desperate.
I'd put him above like I'd put him above Edward Cabrera. I don't know that I would put him up against. I'm trying to debate like Frankie Montas versus Estes.
I think I would go. Oh God.
I think I'm going Montas, but
I think I am too. I'm gonna cop out and say it is a little category dependent. Like if I am just chasing the wins, of course you go Montas. If it's more broad and I'm just chasing pitching in general.
Well, if you're going strikeouts, you're going Montas too.
That's true. That's 2.
I think it's
you're
going ratios. You're going Estes, and strikeouts or wins, you're going Montas.
Boyle walks too many to be considered down the stretch here, right?
Oh my God, yeah, he makes Edward Cabrera look in control.
Look like Greg Maddux, absolutely. Like listen to these numbers: 4, 4, 4, 3, 3. Those are his walk totals in his last 5 for Joe Boyle.
So
we just have to see more there.
I think it's about the same sample over the course of like the last 6 starts that I talked about. Cabrera having a 5.8 walk per 9.
Right.
That is what Joe Boyle, he is like 31 in 2/3 innings on the season. And I said that Cabrera had 20 walks. Boyle has 26 walks in that time for a 7.39 walks per 9. Like that's insanely bad. Insanely
bad. Impossible, dude.
He hasn't given up fewer than 4 walks since April in a start. And he doesn't usually even go 5.
Yeah, you just can't anywhere with Joe Boyle, and we're a long way from developing confidence in him.
He had a start, this was obviously he just came back from the IL, but his last start before going on, or maybe minors, actually, I don't think he was injured. This last start before going to the minors, he had a 1-inning start in which he walked 3 against the Marlins.
How do you even do that?
Like,
what even is that?
Again, another one of these guys that should be a reliever. Yeah.
Right. And again, with Oakland where they're at, why not try it? But it's looking like it's going to be relief at best for him because he just cannot control anything.
I do love like Joe Boyle's strategy of going like, hey, you know what? I'm going to avoid home runs. I'm not going to throw it in the zone.
You can't hit a home run if you can't reach it. Can't
say I have bad command if I'm not throwing it in the zone.
He's thinking, dude. That's some 6D chess right there. All right, our next guy here does have some intrigue. It's Luis L. Ortiz. Worth noting that just because there is, I don't know if the other Luis Ortiz is in the majors anymore, but they were both in the majors last year. And they're both in Pennsylvania because the other one was on Philly, so it was super confusing. But this Luis Ortiz has at Texas, home to Cincinnati. And, he's had some ups and downs this year, but by and large, it's gone pretty well. 3.41 ERA, 1.15 WHIP. The strikeouts aren't really there. Like, I think he's somebody who could develop some strikeout stuff, but he's been learning this year that if I don't walk guys, I don't have to strike everybody out. And that's been the big step forward, is moving his walk rate from 12% to 8%. Very palatable 8% walk rate for Luis Ortiz. It has fostered some really good starts. Arizona beat him up recently. Actually, the schedule really went against him. He got Arizona twice in a row and San Diego twice in a row. And Philly was the start before that. Yeah. But he did handle them. He went 7 shutout against Philly, but then got that 4-pack against Arizona and San Diego. And it was a little bumpy because that's a pretty difficult 4-pack to run through there. Do we have confidence in Luis Ortiz bouncing back here at Texas, home to Cincinnati, after that Arizona-San Diego gamut?
I mean, I don't know that I have confidence necessarily. Like, he has not looked as good in the second half. I think he's tiring. I mean, this is a guy who
definitely see that.
But he is a guy that I've loved in the past, and again, I think he is kind of falls into like this, obviously a different type of pitcher, but like in the Dustin May tier of pitching, where you watch him pitch and you go, this guy's gonna be a dude. He's gonna get strikeouts. And it just doesn't seem to happen. So I don't know if
like you could see the nastiness of Ortiz's stuff. I think he is still just kind of figuring it out, though.
He just allows too much in zone contact is the problem.
Right.
Like he tries to kind of get out of those innings quickly by allowing in zone contact and letting the defense pick him up. And that's great for actual pitching, but not necessarily great for fantasy numbers. So I'm a little bit more on the fence. I think this is even with the matchups not being bad. Like I think this is probably just a 15-team play considering how he's pitched as of late. But I think it's one of the better 15-team plays. So I think I would venture to risk, especially with Texas struggling and Cincinnati not being as good at or on the road than they are at home.
I think I agree with all of that with regards to Luis L. Ortiz. 15s, I'm in. 12s, there's at least some consideration there because there is upside, but there's also plenty of risk. Martín Pérez is out with San Diego now, and he gets a 2-step both at home Minnesota and the Mets. Is there enough there to chase the win potential with Martín Pérez now that he's a Padre?
He's been pretty good as Padre. Now, yeah,
Right?
it's gone against Colorado, Miami, and Pittsburgh, so that may not
That's a
be
beautiful
very
schedule. Jesus.
reliable. Yeah, like you get traded to a playoff team, and all of a sudden, like, hey, like you get like the 3 easiest starts in the world.
That
So
smile. That schedule smiled upon him.
yeah, I mean, I'd be smiling like he is in his profile picture on Fangraphs too, if that was the case. So, that being said, like these aren't necessarily Minnesota's pretty good. I I think it's a 15 team kind of gamble here.
Yeah.
Uh, the interesting part is like the strikeouts have kind of actually ticked up here in San Diego. So again, against 3 bad teams, so maybe that's more indicative of just who he's playing. But yeah, I don't think you're starting him in 10s and 12s, but I think you can probably start him in a 15.
Yep. I think Martín Pérez, both at home, Minnesota Mets at home, both teams very capable. So you're taking plenty of risk, but I do think 15 teamers has some viability. Your boy Kyle Harrison for the Giants gets the White Sox and at Seattle. I think that alone
Yeah.
makes it pretty intriguing. But do you want to talk a bit about how he's been pitching of late? How do you feel about the young lefty in his second season here? Well, actually, his first full season because he only threw 35 innings last year. But where you at on Kyle Harrison?
Yeah, I'm so torn on Kyle Harrison. I see this stuff, and when I watch a pitch, I'm just like, there are moments where even in just in this last start where you're like, oh man, this guy could be a dude, and then
Right.
he's up 2 bombs. So I do think he has started to kind of tire a little bit. So I am a little bit worried about that in particular. And I also worry that the Giants may kind of baby him a little bit down the stretch because the rest of that rotation is so good. And uh, that being said, like these are really, really good starts. And I think you got to use them pretty much anywhere. Like I think he is pretty close to a must start just because Chicago and Seattle are so bad.
That's exactly where I'm at with Kyle Harrison, that even if you have some concerns about his lack of command and control, those are valid concerns, but you're not going to get a much better two-step down the stretch here on a team that's playing pretty well too with your Giants. They got some bullpen support there. Ryan Walker stabilizing things at the back end. The offense is playing better. So I think Harrison is one of the better names on this list, especially in terms of guys who are going to be available. So yeah, you got to hold your nose a little bit for some of those concerns, but White Sox, Seattle's too hot.
Yeah.
Erick Fedde is certainly not a 15 team question mark. I think even with his struggles with St. Louis, I still think we're kind of automatically starting him in 15. So you may differ there. But 10s and 12s is very much on the table here. Like I said, 3 starts with St. Louis have not gone well. 5.63 ERA, 125 WHIP. The 125 WHIP and the 2.3 homer 9. The fact that the WHIP is still decent at 125 and the 2.3 homers that I don't think is going to continue tell me that he should be okay. But is Fedde going to be startable here against Milwaukee and at Minnesota? That's not an easy slate. Do you like Fedde everywhere or anywhere?
I'm a little concerned about Fedde in these matchups just because they are so difficult.
Does it extend to 15s? Because I was saying that he's kind of an automatic in 15s, but maybe he's not as I'm digging further.
Yeah. I mean, both Milwaukee and Minnesota are top 10 teams.
That's what scares me
in OPS since the break. So I think in 15s you probably do it, but I can totally understand skipping it if you end up like I would probably put him. I'm trying to debate whether I put him behind Boyd or not. I think it depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for win potential, you might go with Fedde, but if you're looking for strikeouts, you might go with Boyd. That's really tough, honestly.
That is really tough because Cleveland, But they just keep winning. Even though the offense has certainly come back to earth, they're kind of flipping back to their old method where the pitching's starting to carry now because Bybee's totally stabilized. Ben Lively's been a godsend for them this year. I think even we talked about Boyd, who's pitching well. I think even Gavin Williams has been pitching better of late. So they're kind of flipping their script.
I mean, Milwaukee and Minnesota are both winning games. Like,
right.
So, like, you probably, I mean, can't guarantee that Fedde's even going to be in line for a win. I think if I'm win seeking, I'm going. Seems weird to say. I think I'm just going Boyd. I think I'm just going Boyd over Fedde.
I think I am too. I think I'm going Boyd over Fedde here. Boy, I don't hate Fedde though. I will say that I am on 15s. I've been waffling here on whether or not I would do 15s is a yes. 12s is on the table, but not a must for Erick Fedde. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, I think so.
Tampa Bay has a pair of guys going, and both are intriguing, but certainly not automatics here. Shane Baz and Zack Littell are going to get trips to Oakland and the Dodgers. So a little West Coast swing here for Tampa Bay. Let's start with Baz. It hasn't looked great, but last start out was pretty good. Down to a 4.21 ERA, and it was quite a bit higher, so that actually is down. But it's a 143 whip to go with it, and the Ks aren't really there for Baz either. So even in this last start against Houston, 7 innings, 3 runs, we love that because that's a tough matchup, and he did well. But 2 homers and only 6 Ks in 7 innings. I'm just a little nervous on Shane Baz myself.
He's had kind of a brutal schedule.
That's true. But doesn't it continue here with Oakland and the Dodgers? Oakland not on the same level, but like you said, they're hitting, and then the Dodgers after that. Where are you at on Baz here?
Yeah, I don't think I want to start either of these guys. I've had Shane Baz on my Tout Wars team. I drafted him because they're on unlimited IL, and he's just, but he has not touched my lineup yet. Like he's just sitting on my bench, and I think that continues to be the case here. So I think both these guys just stick on my bench. Like we said, Oakland is hitting the cover off the ball over the last 30 days. The Dodgers are almost back to like Avengers Dodgers at this point. So I think like both these matchups are a little terrifying in terms of like whether or not you should be able to use them. And the hard part becomes like, I think that, let's see, both will get San Diego next time out.
So the hits keep coming.
So, and then after that, it looks like Baltimore, Philly.
By the way, Zack Littell, most hits allowed in the American League, 144, which is pushing that whip up to 131. That's the thing. Both these guys, have decent enough ERAs, especially for deeper leagues, but their whips are ugly.
To be honest, like, I think both these guys are droppable.
I'm with you. I am not.
The Rays schedule for the next month is brutal.
In addition to the fact that they're not pitching well. So, I mean, what else do you need? Like you said, both of them getting San Diego next week instead of the Seattle start. Like that's the following week, I should say. That's tough too. So it's like, I have no confidence in Baz right now. I will return to him in 25. I still think he's a very talented, interesting arm, but I had no interest in 24 Baz. And Zack Littell, I think he's kind of turned back into a little bit of a pumpkin in that, like, he's still capable and better than having him in the bullpen, but he's not a huge starter right now. The 131 whip is horrible. That's bad in 15s. That's bad in any league that you're talking about. So, yeah, I'm being careful with both these guys. I'm not interested in either.
Yeah.
José Ureña has Pittsburgh and at Cleveland for Texas. I can't imagine you're terribly interested, but I figure I'll ask. He's pitched okay this year. Any league type where you're getting to José Ureña?
No.
I didn't think so. He doesn't really go 5. 4 1/3, 4 4 4 2/3 last time out. So you can't even try to win chase, which Texas is not winning. Let's go to Kevin Gausman, who I think firmly belongs on this list. Name value, he doesn't because people still view him as an ace, but he has not been an ace. 4.20 ERA, 126 whip. He gets Cincy and the Angels both at home. Are you still locking Gausman into your rotation, or does he start to come out in certain league types? And if so, what are those league types?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he is a must start in 10-team and 12-team leagues at this point. He's just been too volatile of a pitcher. Now we saw like hey, like he still knows what he's doing on the mound. And I, and one of these two steps is against an Angels team that he just blanked.
Right.
So, and isn't very good offensively. He at least goes deep into games that gives you a chance to win. I don't love having to go. Oh, actually, no, the home versus Seattle, or sorry, home versus Cincinnati. Yeah, I think I actually am starting him in 12s and 15s for sure, and probably most 10s this week, just because the matchups. Getting both these starts at home, and he's at least going to go deep into games. It gives you a potential to win the game. So
that's true.
I am a little worried about Gausman just in general. But
that's the thing. I'm so nervous, but it is hard to get away from this in deeper leagues. And that's the thing too. And we've talked about this concept throughout the year, where you have an issue with a guy like this, like an ace expectation guy.
Yeah.
And there are concerns, but are they actually actionable? Like, should you actually be taking Kevin Gausman out of your lineup? And I'm not so sure you should, even though I am concerned. I think 15s and 12s, yes. I think even 10s too. I agree.
I think you bring up a really good point, though. Like, just because a guy isn't giving you what you drafted him for doesn't mean you should necessarily, like, move on. Right? Like,
it's not like he's giving you nothing.
Yeah,
11 wins.
He goes super deep into games. I mean,
right. This Kevin Gausman we're talking about, by the way, but he's won his last 5 decisions over the course of 6 starts. Like, there are still things here. Like, he is still giving you a particular volume of innings that they aren't devoid of value, despite the fact that he is underwhelmed against expectations. I do think you still have to kind of have him locked in the lineup there, Kevin Gausman.
Yeah, I agree.
Our last guy, DJ Hers, has done some interesting things with the Nats. He gets Colorado at home and then a trip to Atlanta, which that has not been as scary as it would have sounded coming into the year for obvious reasons. They've had a billion injuries. But he's been a bit up and down, but lately looking pretty solid. He hasn't allowed more than 2 earned in any of his last 5 outings there for DJ Hers. And, he hasn't quite piled up the Ks the way he was earlier, but I think he's traded some of the lack of command and control. In addition, traded some of those Ks for better command and control. So he still has 27 Ks in 23 2/3, but a much more palatable whip during that time too, which I will get you the answer. A much more palatable 117 whip for DJ Hers. So, Colorado at home, trip to Atlanta. Do you like DJ Hers at all? And if so, what formats? You're muted.
Yeah. Sorry about that. No for me, with Hers, it's all about his command. Like, when his command is going good, like he's going good. So, and his command has been going much better as of late. Only 1 home run given up over these last 3 starts. Now he did kind of get a little BABIP to death against the Giants, and that's why he only went 2 2/3. And it was also walking guys. So
yeah, they ran up that count. It was 74 pitches and 2 2/3 for Hers, and that's what pushed him out. But only 2 runs on 8 base runners.
And other than that, he's been really, really good since the break. So
exactly.
I'm totally fine using him. He kind of probably goes he's a little bit below Boyd for me, but he goes right into that kind of Boyd tiers of 2 starts this week.
Yep, I think I'm totally cool with that. With DJ Hers, should have some availability in 12s and shallower. 15's probably not going to be available. Always check your wire, but Hers has been too good to not get picked up in a lot of 15 teamers. But I do think he is startable in 12s, and then he gets the Cubs the following week, so you might even be able to hang on to Hers beyond that. He misses that Yankees start, so that's pretty nice. Now, if he loses the 2-step, he would join the Yankees series. So we don't want him to lose that 2-step at all. No. So a lot of names out there, a lot of opportunity. Obviously, there's always risk when you're streaming, but there's some chances here for folks to make some real big moves depending on their league type this week with the 2-step setup. So eager to see how Fab goes. As I mentioned earlier, Fab has really gone crazy the last few weeks. It's funny, as nobody has any money, the options have gotten better. So it's like now people are spending their last remaining dollars on these guys, hoping to strike gold with it. And there has been some gold out there. Your Jackson Holidays, your Ryan Walkers, and maybe this week it's Zebby Matthews. So we'll see how it goes. Are you and Jason getting together on Sunday?
I don't know, but I will send him a message and find
Okay,
out.
okay.
So.
Sounds great. Other than that, I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and we'll be back on Monday.
Take it easy.